Good morning, everyone. Let's get started. From today, we'll be starting with DevOps and let's get into it and straight away start with the things that especially are asked in the interviews. Okay, first thing first, we are going to start with three topics basically straight away. First would be Terraform, second would be Docker, third would be your Kubernetes. The reason is these three topics are the topics which are going to be asked in the interviews straight away. Okay, especially inside Terraform, the question that will come up would be that can you go and write the Terraform script? So that basically forms the bread and butter of your complete interview. Writing the Terraform script. So today and tomorrow, at least after we are done with the class, no one in the world should be able to write a Terraform script better than you. Basics of DevOps, what is DevOps, why we need DevOps, what are the advantages and the disadvantages of DevOps. We are going to do it later by the end of our DevOps because honestly, just like no one will ever ask you, what is AWS? Why do I need AWS? Rather, they would have asked you, what is a transit gateway or how do you connect with a network? No one is interested in stories, especially in the interviews. Rather, they are interested in some real time things. And that's basically what we are going to do also. First thing first, Terraform is a cloud provisioning platform. When I say a cloud provisioning, it simply means that I should be able to go and provision my cloud using Terraform. Two things. Terraform is not only for cloud, though I had used the word cloud provisioning platform. Terraform can be used with multiple providers. Pay attention on the word provider. So Terraform can be used as a provider for AWS, GCP, Azure, DigitalOcean, Ali Cloud, and various other providers. So for that, if you are interested, you can always go for Terraform providers and basically have a look at the providers. This one is important because in the interviews, they might ask you that if in case I have to work with Terraform or why do I need Terraform, one of the primary reason is you not only get to work with AWS, but Azure, GCP, Ali Cloud, Oracle, Kubernetes, DigitalOcean, and if you start scrolling down, you are going to see all of these providers which are present over here. This again is not only AWS, rather it is created for a list of providers which are given to you over here. Some of them are verified, some of them are the community providers. The same thing which inside your AWS you saw inside something known as a AMI or a Amazon machine image. Similar to this, you have the providers which are given to you by Terraform. And in short, Terraform can go and work on any of these providers. That is part number one. Part number two is the modules, one of the more important things of Terraform. And 110% they would ask you about a module of Terraform. What does it actually mean? Why do you actually need it? And this is how, in short, it's going to look like. But more about it in another, let's say by the end of the class, we would have also understood what a module actually is. Let's go back. Terraform basically is not only to create my infrastructure inside AWS, rather inside any of the other providers. But if that is the only reason, why is Terraform only present there and not any other tool? And why is everyone now talking about Terraform? Earlier, 2 years back or 3 years back, no one used to talk about Terraform. By the way, whatever things I am going to tell you are all present inside this repository of and like. Click here, click on repository, whatever in DevOps I tell you is all present inside your Terraform over here. Okay, so all these documentation, whatever you need, is present inside terraform.docx. You can go over here and have a look at it. So it's already present. Next thing, I would very highly recommend you to go and look for your scripting or shell script. I have already mentioned 100 plus Linux commands which are present over here. It's my guarantee that no one will ever ask you anything outside these scripts. So if I were at your place, I would have gone and mugged up all the 100 commands as it is. In your Unix or Linux, they will talk to you about these commands itself. Okay, fine. Let's go back. So basically, Terraform can be used to go and create my cloud infrastructure, or like we have seen, it can go and create an infrastructure for any of the providers that I have mentioned. This is first part. Second thing, why do I need Terraform? This answer you will yourself understand by the end of the class, that why Terraform suddenly became so popular. In the last 2 years, when everyone started moving to the cloud, I needed someone to go and create my network. Now, because you all understand AWS already, imagine me going creating a VPC, one VPC, four subnets, one internet gateway, one egress gateway, one NAT gateway, attaching it. So let's go from the beginning and see. Why did it become so popular? I go to VPC, I click on VPC and I go and create a VPC. Once that is done, I go and create my subnets. Once that is done, I go and create my internet gateway for IPv4, egress for IPv6, NAT for private. Once that is done, I go to my route table, I go and edit my routes, click on edit routes, give add route, give my gateway, give my IP address from where I want to allow, then go to network ACL, create a network ACL, then go to security group, create a security group, and then my network has been created. Now, honestly, this is not a big thing to do. If you have time of, let's say, 1 hour or half an hour, you can do it. The only problem with this approach is we all are humans basically. You might do a mistake of typing in something inside the text box which is wrong. And the bigger problem is the same thing I am doing inside Mumbai. If I also want to do the same thing inside North Virginia, I have to go and manually repeat the process. One by one, I have to go and repeat everything as it is. Then, if I have my network inside, let's say, Canada or inside Frankfurt or inside Middle East, I have to go and repeat the same process again as it is. These things you see becomes a big problem for me, going and repeating the same job multiple times. So in this case, some of you might say, why don't you go for a service known as cloud formation? We are going to do this service also, a pretty advanced service inside AWS. But in case if I want to go and create an infrastructure, I can go and do it using my cloud formation itself, which in short will be nothing but a list of commands or resources that should be created inside AWS. The beauty, select a specific region, run the template over there. It will either execute or it will do a rollback like it happened for my EKS over here. Now, why do I not use cloud formation? This is also an interview question. And the answer is cloud formation, you see, can be used only inside AWS. If I have to use it in any other providers, there is no such tool present. So that is a primary reason why I generally do not go for cloud formation, or rather earlier, prior to 2014, 16, 18, people used to use cloud formation a lot. A lot of companies are still working on cloud formation already. But now they are also moving to Terraform. The reason being, if I anyhow have to write a script once, I have two options. Either I write it in CloudFormation, which I can use only inside AWS, or I write it inside Terraform, which basically is a easier way, a better way, and the same thing can be used in multiple cloud providers also. So generally, you see, companies are now preferring working on your working on your Terraform as compared to your cloud formation. So what is this Terraform? One last time before I go there, you would remember that the same thing I could, if I only wanted to write a script, I had another option of AWS CLI, right? So if in case I need to go and create or work on my VPC or virtual private cloud, what will I do? So let's take a simple example and understand it by that. So assuming I wanted to go and create a network, I would have gone over here and just taken a AWS create hyphen VPC command. Assuming CLI is installed, roles are present, or the permission or the policies are attached to the IAM user, which has access to CLI, and to the policies which are verified via STS. I very badly am assuming that you understand AWS very well now. Okay. Anyways, going back, if I have to create a VPC, I just have to go and give this as it is. So let's assume I do not want to give tag. Rather, I will just give AWS EC2 create hyphen VPC with the block of whatever size I want. So AWS EC2 create VPC with the cider block, whatever I have given. Next up, I would want to go and create a subnet. So for that, I go inside create hyphen VPC. We will go and search for subnets over here. Now, very quickly, create hyphen subnet. This part, and if you scroll down, here is the problem actually. This is why we use Terraform. Forget about the tags. Let's only worry about the cider blocks and the VPC ID. Now pay attention. This command, if I run once, right, it will go and create a VPC for me. Next, if I have to go and create a subnet, the subnet obviously is a part of VPC, which means I have to run this command as it is. This command will go and create a VPC. In the output or result, it will give me a VPC ID. Next, I have to go and manually replace this VPC ID with the actual VPC ID that was created over here. So it would be something like, let's say, VPC hyphen whatever it is. One by one, I have to go and give this. Next, I want to create another subnet. Go and give the same thing over here by 10. Let's take something like this 20, and let's say 30. Something like this, I have to go and repeat one by one. If I want all of these things to be done automatically, they cannot, because it would be going and looking for the VPC ID for this step, and someone has to go and manually do this. Now, honestly, if I just say that this cannot be done automatically, that is also not true. You see, create hyphen VPC would give you a result which is something like this. This, by the way, you already know is nothing but your JSON. So what you can do is go and create a script which goes, reads that JSON object and gets the information. In this case, the information would simply be VPC.VPC ID. So inside JSON, this is actually referred to something like this. I would be giving VPC dot over here VPC ID. Okay, so I would be doing a parsing and I would be giving something like this. And if I give something like this, basically, it would also go and create or take the VPC ID from the output of this. Now, this script, I will have to go and write it inside shell, a bit messed up. By the way, same thing I could have also done inside Lambda. So how would I do it inside Lambda? So this is one way of doing it where I can go and use shell. Next way of doing it would be when I would be going and creating a Lambda function out of it. For that, what will I do? Very quickly, AWS, let's say VPC and SDK. What I have to do over here is I have to go and create a VPC, right? So let's go and check where is create VPC. Here is D. Okay, this is the one. Highly recommend to have a look at it so that it will help you. So let's go and save it and save it by something like temp-vpc.js. So let's go and create a function over here. Let's call it as create VPC and this thing as it is goes here. Now what happens is if it is a error, something like this, else something like this. The only thing is this will go and create a VPC. Good. Next, what is the result of it? If you see, the result of it is data.vpc dot whatever the VPC ID is. So assuming I want to go and create a subnet, let's say create subnet. Inside this subnet, if I go, I will be passing a variable VPC ID. And what is the command to create the subnet? Let's go and have a look at that. Where are you? This create subnet. Fine. Let's go and copy this as it is and paste it over here. This all inside green or commented code I don't need. Giving this else starts and ends with something like this. Now the only problem is I have to give this subnet VPC ID is hard coded, right? I obviously do not want to go and hard code it. So what I will do is I will pass my VPC ID over here as it is. So what happens is it creates a VPC, it creates a subnet. However, and the important thing now, this subnet ID should be called from inside the function over here. And what will be the result? It would be nothing but data dot, where is my VPC? Okay, it was here. Data dot VPC dot, and what is the VPC ID? VPC ID. Now pay attention to what actually happens. So what happens is I call my create VPC. So let's go and give it something like this. I go and call my create VPC, which goes inside create VPC. It passes certain amounts of parameter. A VPC is created. If at all the VPC is created, it passes the VPC ID and it passes the VPC ID inside this create subnet function, which basically goes and creates the subnets for whatever VPC ID has been provided. This, in short, is how your VPC and subnets are actually created. Now, the thing is, just to create VPC and subnets, do you want to go and do all of this, learn all of this programming, or rather, we want to go and use something as Terraform? I will just leave this function as it is and this CLI as it is over here, and I will straight away move to the Terraform script. Yes, I very well understand. I have not told you anything inside Terraform, but nonetheless, interviewers will ask you, open your notepad, open your code, and write the Terraform script. So at least on day one itself, you should know how to write the Terraform script. Let's start. Few advice. First thing, whenever you are in the interview, please always open VS Code. No other editor has to be used. Today itself, you will go and search for VS Code, go and search for Visual Studio Code, and depending on your operating system, it will ask you to download. You will straight away go and download it. If you were inside the DevOps class, oh sorry, inside the AWS class, you would already be having it. No Atom, no VS, any other tool, but only VS Code. No Notepad++, no Notepad, nothing else except Visual Studio Code. Why? At least for interview, you give me VS Code. Rest you want to change it, you are free to choose a editor of your choice. But for interviews, only this tool. Next, whenever the interviewers will go and ask you to write a script, first thing that you will do is you will go and save this file by a name of, let's say, create hyphen infra hyphen ap south 1.tf. The name will always be create infra ap south 1, though name honestly can change. But in the interviews, you don't want to give stupid looking names like a1.tf and a2.tf. Because the moment you start to give stupid names, they understand you don't work on Terraform, you are only bluffing, or you have learnt it from some XYZ place. So just give the names as it is. Create infra ap south 1.tf. The moment you give this .tf over here, you will start to see a strange looking symbol over here. This, by the way, symbol you will also start to see if you open your Terraform. So what happens is Visual Studio Code already has the editor for Terraform pre-installed. So the moment you go and start using a Visual Studio Code, if even by mistake you start to do some error, it will start to prompt you. So you will go and name it by this create infra ap south1.tf, and now you will start writing your script for creating the infrastructure. And how will that happen? Let's get started with that. Before I go there, I will just go, this only created one VPC and one subnet, right? This program, because it's calling only one and one. This created one VPC and four subnets. But the problem is, remember, I have to go and get the VPC ID of all of them. The same program as it is, I am going to go and do inside Terraform also. How? By the way, don't worry. The same thing I will tell you today also. The complete thing I will tell you tomorrow also. So by tomorrow end, you should have understood how to write the Terraform script. Let's get started. First thing is I want to go and create my VPC using Terraform. So you just go and open Google right now, type AWS VPC and Terraform. It will open up this registry. You just go and copy paste it. Done. Very highly recommended in the interviews to go and do this as it is. Or if they are asking you to go and create multiple things, initial things you can go and write it yourself. But after that, you can say, can I just open the documentation of Terraform? Because in reality, no one expects you to remember all of this. The reason is over here, if you go, no, There are so many services of AWS having so many resources. Pay attention to the word resources of AWS, that it becomes difficult for you to mugging all of them. So if I were at your place, I would have always asked them, can I open the documentation? And by the way, if you go for any startups, they will always ask you, do a thing, open any documentation of Terraform and copy paste it from there. What they expect you is either you will go and copy paste one or two. The only difference is this simply has a cider block. This is saying whether you are default or dedicated along with the tags, or with the specific region, or with the scope, or with the scope and cider, or giving the net mask length. If you understand these terms, good, you understand how AWS works. If not, no worries. Scroll down one by one, it would have told you everything. So in my case, what I will do is I will just go copy this as it is and paste it inside my TF file. Done. That's it. My VPC would be created just by doing this. Now, few things to pay attention. Resource AWS underscore VPC will not change. The reason is, pay attention over here. This resources comes inside AWS underscore VPC, right? This is how Terraform understands this VPC is your VPC and it creates a VPC. This cannot become one or two or three. This cannot change. But this thing over here, right? This can change. This I will go and name it as VPC hyphen initial. You can go and name it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. These things you cannot change. So what happens here is it simply will go and create a VPC. How it will do? Forget about it. Tomorrow or day after tomorrow, once we go and run it, we will understand how it automatically is a smart tool to understand what to create. But right now, this will simply go and create a VPC. Next up, I want to create a subnet. So what I will do is I will scroll up. I see AWS underscore subnet and I simply go copy it as it is and paste it. Tags, if you want, good for you. If you do not want, that is also fine. So what I will do is I have given a resource again, which is actually creating a subnet, and that subnet is nothing but, let's say, subnet hyphen initial hyphen one. The important thing over here while creating subnet was I needed the VPC ID. The important thing inside my Lambda was while creating the subnet, I needed the VPC ID. The important thing inside Terraform is while creating the subnet, I need the VPC ID. Which VPC ID? Pay attention to one thing. It became white suddenly, right? It will change the color very shortly. So I am saying do a thing, go and create a subnet. From where? VPC. Which VPC? That I created above. What is the name? AWS underscore VPC followed by the name that I gave, VPC hyphen initial. Just go and replace this main with VPC hyphen initial. That's it. It will also go and create a subnet initial one, which would automatically be added to my VPC. Want to create the next one? Now it's all easy. Go and say I want to create subnet 2. Obviously the cider blocks will change. Want to create the next one? Easy. Go and say it is subnet hyphen 3. Cider block obviously changes. Create the next one. Copy it. Paste it. Subnet initial 4 and this becomes 10040. Done. Now, if you pay attention, why did I create not choose this? Because I had to go and give it manually. Why do I want to choose this? Do you want to go and write the program again? Why will I choose Terraform? Because that's it. That is your Terraform script to go create one VPC along with four subnets as it is. This is what they expect from you in the interviews. The moment you go and write till here, right, they will ask you to stop and they will say, fine, you understand what Terraform is. That's pretty much it. Next, let's not stop here. Let's say my VPC, I also wanted to go and attach a gateway, right? Internet gateway. Fine. Let's see. Go back to your documentation. Over here only, because you are already inside VPC, go and search for something known as Internet Gateway. Copy the whole thing as it is and just paste it. Now, these parts I am going to compress for some time to make it easy for us to understand. I am saying do a thing, create a gateway. This thing can't change, this thing can change. So I am calling it IGW or internet hyphen gateway hyphen initial hyphen one. Now, fine, let it be Fateway only. It doesn't matter. This name doesn't matter. So I am saying do a thing, create a gateway over here with the VPC. Which VPC? The name is VPC hyphen initial. You see, this is white right now. That is why we are using Visual Studio Code. It is white because it is referring to a entry which is having a issue. The moment you replace this main with this VPC hyphen initial, see, it is white. Replace it, it again becomes blue. So this internet gateway has been attached to my VPC. Want to give it a name inside AWS? Go and give whatever you want. So I am giving it a name. Now pay attention to one important thing. This is how Terraform understands the resource. This is how AWS understands the resource via the tags, right? So tags are important from AWS's perspective. This is important from Terraform's perspective. These two things, keep it in mind. If you are confused, my advice, don't give the tags. You are pretty good. But give the tags at least in the interviews. So basically what I have done is I have also created an internet gateway which is automatically attached to my VPC. Next, I might want to go and create a egress gateway, right? So scroll down over here and you should see something as egress. If any one of you sees that, let me know. This is default EC2 egress, this one. Now, this thing is important actually because this is where you start to do errors. Now, by the way, when I have to create a egress gateway, if you pay attention to the commands, so let's me not copy paste it right now. If you pay attention at the command, internet gateway and egress gateway, we will open side by side. Okay. Internet gateway is only giving you or asking you VPC ID. Egress gateway is also asking for VPC ID, but why is it also asking you to create a VPC? Why was the same thing not present with my internet gateway? The answer is in front of you only, by the way. For this, Suman, yes,
Difference of IPv4 and IPv6, right, Ankit?
exactly. Good. The reason is egress gateway is required for IPv6 address, which means while you created the VPC, you should have gone and given the address for IPv6. What this is actually telling you is if in case you have created the VPC or are going to create, just go copy this block as it is and paste it over here, which means I have to go and assign a IPv6 block. Remember, this is a keyword and this cannot be changed. This, by the way, if you forgot, it was present inside your VPC. Here it had asked you for your IPv6 header block. Also remember, If a egress gateway has egress is for IPv6, so obviously VPC should also be IPv6. That is what it is prompting you. So what I will do is once I have copy pasted this, next thing is simply to go and get my egress gateway here and paste it over here as it is and name it whatever you want to give. So I am saying internet hyphen gateway hyphen egress hyphen initial hyphen one. And again, it is white because the name of the VPC is VPC hyphen initial. Done. Tags, if you want, you give. Right now, I am not giving because tomorrow I would be creating tags. That's pretty much it. You have created one VPC, four subnets, two gateways. Now, maybe you also want to go and create a NAT gateway, right? So let's go and get a NAT gateway. NAT gateway would be something like this. So what I am saying is NAT gateway would require, so for this to understand, you should understand that if you go for a NAT gateway, see, Terraform is not doing anything out of the box. Terraform is simply doing or working on things that you did inside AWS. If your AWS said that to create a NAT gateway, you need a subnet, you need a elastic IP, and you need a name. Primarily, you need a elastic IP and a subnet. So if AWS is saying you need a subnet and a elastic IP, obviously Terraform will also say that you need a elastic IP and you need the subnet ID. That's pretty much it. Also remember that to ensure that a elastic IP is running, elastic IP is a public IP. Elastic IP is a public IPv4 address. If I need to work on IPv4 address, I also have to ensure that my internet connectivity is present via IPv4 and that IPv4 itself will require a internet gateway. That is what this depends on actually means. Very important, at least for the interviews. The question would be, my Terraform resource is dependent on a specific resource to work. How will you go and give that? The answer is by this keyword depends on. Now, it's not important actually. You can just bypass it. In this case, the only problem is NAT gateway. If it is not attached to an internet gateway and the route tables, it will start to give you an error. So for that reason, I give something as depends on. And depends on what? AWS Internet Gateway. And what is the name of the gateway? This. So this simply means that to create a NAT gateway, this thing at least should have been created. But again, if you pay attention, I need few other things also. First of all, tags I am removing right now. I am saying that you would be, this is white, right? So I know something is wrong. What I am saying is I think you should be attached to subnet initial 4. So just go and give that ID. The important thing is NAT gateway itself needs a elastic IP. Elastic IP I have not given only. So in that case, what I will do is I will go and search for AWS underscore EIP, where Terraform documentation straight away here. Go and search for either you can search inside filter also or go inside your VPC and search if you see EIP over here. And you will see EIP is not present here. Why? Because that would be present inside your EC2. So let's go for EC2 and let's go and search for AWS underscore EIP and let's go and give this as it is. So just before this, I am giving AWS underscore EIP and I am calling it as EIP hyphen or let's call it as public hyphen address hyphen initial hyphen one. This I am saying I will require, I am not attaching it to an instance. How? Means it can be attached to a subnet also. By the way, I need it below, right? So I'm removing it. I'm saying do a thing. Just go and create a elastic IP. And this elastic IP address, just go and give to the subnets. And that's it. I have created a NAT gateway also, which is dependent on the internet gateway and which internally will go and attach to a public IP of the Elastic IP. That's it. This small block of code is creating one VPC with four subnet with a internet gateway, egress gateway, and a NAT gateway, which in turn is dependent on a Elastic IP. You don't have to go, and this script as it is, if you run it in five different regions, it will create five similar networks. So if this is done, let's go and talk about something else. Let's say maybe I also want to go and create a instance, right? So just go and copy AWS underscore instance and just go and copy that instance. Which instance? This. Copy it and place it. Now, if you need something, good. If you do not need it, remove it. By the way, how do I know if I need something or not? That I have already answered in AWS. Network interface, I don't think I need it right now. Remove it. Credit specification, I do not need it right now. Remove it. AMI ID, I obviously need. I am putting it inside hard coded. Pay attention, there are two ways to refer. One is using a variable over here. Second is hard coding the AMI ID. Next is T2 micro, T3 micro, whatever you want, you can go and give it. Needless to say, that depends on whether it is a x86, i386 or a ARM64 machine. If it is ARM, T4G. If it is x86 or i386, T3. So that it goes and creates an instance, but the problem is, where is this instance created? Any one of you? Instance is created inside my AWS account, but inside what VPC, inside what subnet? Any one of you very quickly? Okay. To answer this, no, whenever I ask you, the answer is not inside Terraform. In Terraform, no, remember one thing. Terraform is not doing anything. Terraform is simply doing whatever AWS would have done. Yes, Suman.
Maybe the VPC where we created earlier, like we have created the VPC
These
starting point.
ones,
Yeah,
these
yeah,
ones. No,
yeah.
no. If inside, okay, let me ask you this. If inside AWS, I just go and create a VPC instance, where it will be created? Aftab.
Not Virginia.
Okay, and okay, fine. See, if I just go and click on EC2 and I click on launch instance and I just go and click on launch instance, where is this created? The answer is scroll down, this VPC and no subnet. What is this VPC? This is the VPC that always came in by default. The answer is default VPC. If you ask me about the subnet, no, I don't know where it will be created. Subnet by default, AWS will automatically select any one of them. But VPC, I know it would create it inside the default VPC. Again, like we say, Terraform, no, if anyone will ask this question in the interviews, think about Terraform is nothing but a simple tool which is working on top of AWS. Terraform is not or will not bypass your AWS. So if I ask you where is this created, ask yourself where would AWS have created? The answer is default VPC. So where is it creating? The answer is default VPC. But I obviously do not want this to be created inside the default VPC. I want it to be created inside, let's say, this subnet. Why this subnet? Because the NAT gateway that I created was for subnet 4, and I am assuming this is a private instance. But to give it a private instance, why don't we also go and give it a tag? So I'm just copying this tag over here, or take it from here or from here. This tag over here, and I'm just saying this is my private instance one. And we forgot the NAT gateway name we had given as example. We should not give this, rather let's give it something as NAT gateway hyphen initial hyphen one, and the same thing for instance. Let's call it as instance hyphen initial hyphen one. Okay. Now, this instance should be inside this specific subnet. How to do that? The answer is all in front of you only. Or the answer is, if it is, see, ideally, no, this itself should have told you. Go and take this subnet ID and paste it as it is. So in ideal cases, it would be nothing but AWS underscore subnet dot subnet hyphen initial hyphen 4 dot ID. Done. It will automatically create it inside that subnet. By the way, I am not giving VPC ID. Why? Because if subnet is selected, subnet is a part of VPC. So if you select subnet, VPC by default has been selected. On the contrary, if you give VPC, you will have to give subnet also. So I actually become smart and I straight away will go and give the subnet ID only. Choosing subnet ID automatically takes the VPC ID. Now, assuming I forgot this in the interviews or in reality, I do not understand this. Fine, scroll down. Everything is present for you here itself. Okay. What I am saying, I want this to be inside a specific subnet. So I will scroll down and I will see if I have something as subnet. Network interface is there. This is there. This is there. All these things are present. Subnet is not present. Fine. Scroll up. See for yourself. Somewhere down the line, it would have given you subnet ID. Elsewise, it can't work only. Alphabetically M P R S T. This is the subnet ID. So what you will do, just copy this, give subnet ID, give equal to, and give the subnet ID, whatever. What is the subnet ID? Very easy. AWS underscore subnet dot subnet. What was it? Subnet initial 4 dot ID. Done. That's it. So either you go and copy it from here, this part, where are you? Subnet this part, you copy it from here, or you go and yourself type it. The concept will remain the same only. That's pretty much it. It will go and create an instance inside your subnet 4. Now you say, no, I want to create it inside subnet 2 also. Very easy. Copy it, just modify the name. Tags you modify because it will be good for you. And here, instead of initial 4, just go and give initial 2. That's it. Done. 2 instances will be created. Want to create all in 1, 2, 3, 4? Fine. Just copy it here. This one was created inside subnet 4. This one was created inside subnet 2. Now I only am left with 3. Subnet 3 done. And with subnet 1. So subnet 1 and the instance name is 4 and the instance name is 4. That's pretty much it. Done. You have created one VPC with 4 subnets with one internet gateway, actually gateway, but it is at the end of the day a gateway, with a egress gateway, internet gateway, egress gateway, elastic IP, which is attached to your NAT gateway, which has created 4 instances. One of them is inside your subnet 4 or private subnet, which in turn is connected to your NAT gateway, which is connected to your elastic IP. And that's it. This is what people are running about, talking about Terraform, when it actually is so easy to go and create the script. Now again, this thing, if someone will look from the beginning, no, it will start to look very confusing. That what have they created? What are the resources that are present? It will start to be very confusing. If someone looks into this, no, from this perspective, they will start to get confused what this thing is. But if in case you start from the very beginning, where you go and create a VPC, then subnets, and then whatever way you want to create. In this, I have not added route tables, security groups, NACLs, VPC peering, transit gateway attachment, VPN, And this, by the way, is only for this small thing of AWS underscore VPC over here. If you scroll down for this, that's it. You can go and add as many things as you want over here. Which brings me to the last thing. This again is class one. I do not expect you to understand this. But if you can go and write the script yourself, congrats, you understand Terraform. Next part. AWS said why to go and make it even so difficult for you. Let's go back to the initial thing. Modules, remember? AWS says don't make it so difficult. I have already created something for you. Just go and copy paste this. Give it a name. Let's call it as VPC-1. Tell me where do you want it? Let's say AP South 1 A, AP South 1B, or rather, let me just copy this. AP South 1B and AP South 1C. Fine, I will create three subnets for you. One of them is private, fine. Or three of them are private, three are public. Depends on you how you want to do. Want to make two public, two private, remove it. If you feel why are the names like this, fine. Go and give your name, whatever you prefer. 10.0.30, 10.0.40. I want a NAT gateway, I want a VPN gateway, and I want the tags. Done. It will go create one VPC with two public and two private subnet scattered across three availability zones. It will have a NAT gateway and a VPN gateway, and this is the name of that, or all the resources will have these things. Terraform S2 and environment as dev, so that you can understand Terraform created it. Want to do it this way? Do it. And after that, just go and do a Terraform run and it will go and create. By the way, is this the only thing? No, this is just one way. Scroll down and you will see multiple things. You want to create elastic IPs? Fine. Just go and give this. How many elastic IP you need? 10. Done. It will go create 10 elastic IPs which are attached to the VPC. Done. You want to go and create your internet gateway or NAT gateway or whatever configuration you want to give. It is nothing but just go copy from here, paste it over here. That is one way to do. Do not want this easy way. Fine. Go and create it using the way that we did earlier. Go and create everything from the beginning, like what we did over here. Choose any way you want, either this long way or this Terraform. One last time, module. So, what is a resource? Resource, resource. When you are creating, it is a resource. What is a module? Module is nothing but all of the resources being created inside one file itself, where you just have to go and modify few parameters. That is a module. Now, if anyone will ask you, how do you go and work on module and resources? You should know the answer for that. The advantage of using a module is that these are updated very frequently, and whatever variables you need, input and outputs are present, whatever dependencies they are is present, and what they work on is all present. Now, needless to say, you might have understood this as well. This obviously is creating a VPC, so it should have AWS underscore VPC. It is needing subnet, so it should have AWS underscore subnet. It will be working on route tables and gateways, so it will obviously be having that as well. So that depends on you, how you want to go and work on Terraform. My advice, at least in the interviews, you should only talk about, means talk about resources and modules both. But when they ask you to write the script, only give resources. Don't give modules. The reason is no, module, you will just go and copy paste it as it is. Interview will become very easy for you then. And you don't want the interview to finish very early, because if you finish early, they will think that they have asked less question to you. So my advice, go and write all of this in the interview one by one. Somewhere, no, when you reach here, they will ask you to stop, because this typing itself will take time. Also, my very strong advice is to go and write this yourself today only. Copy paste it. For sure, you will do error. But by the time you appear for interviews, you should have hands on this one. Again, it's better if you tell them that, can I just open the documentation? Because in our company also, we just go and take it from the documentation. In which case, they will ask you, don't you use resources? The answer of it I will give tomorrow. Why I should not use resources? Means you can use, but ideally, why do you think I should not use a resource? This thing we will give or answer tomorrow. Any questions if you have for now?